Hello and welcome to Stampscapes Live. We're going to try a piece of the Deanna Tubb-Sedillo background papers with a lot of different colors here in a gold reflective reflection card format here. Okay, this is roughly about 5 by 8 inches here, and we'll do it landscape. All right, let's see. Let's just get right into it. What I'm going to do, I just want to contrast this heavily. In my last piece, I did a bunch of open kind of rock areas so that you can see a lot of colors showing through. I don't really feel like covering this up at all, but I just want to try something different than the last piece. So I'm going to put these two large trees here, and my kind of vision for this piece is to have this girl on a swing right in here. It's going to be her, and she's going to be, I don't know, just like checking out this incredible light show that's going on in the background. I see it as kind of like a, oh, I don't know, like a Northern Lights almost type of scenario here. Not quite, but I don't know, almost, you know, something of that same kind of dramatic spirit here. Okay, so let's just get right into it. I'm going to use my hybrid black ink on this. So a VersaFine Clair is really good, something like that. Something a little bit more slightly surface-oriented in terms of our inks. I find best on pre-printed papers to give us kind of the best chance of having one of the darker impressions that we can get. This is a matte paper right here, but and it is porous and it'll accept different inks, but kind of the more pigment ink oriented inks I find give me really good results on printed papers. So in other words, probably this inkjet or whatever type of ink that has been used to print this, you know, it's sealing off some of the pores of the surface. So, yeah, it's a good idea to go with something that's going to sit on the surface nicely. You can try, you can test out different types of inks though. Using rubber stamps, you can try a StazOn or something like that. I think a VersaFine Clair would be excellent for this type of application. All right, so I'm only stamping, well, I don't know, it's like 25% of this trunk right here. I just want to create a little bit of depth within this top piece to create, it's going to be largely kind of silhouette oriented, but I do want to create some depth within that space. So going with this larger trunk right here, and you can see I'm holding this down for a little bit of longer, or a lot longer of an impression time, just to get more of that ink to transfer over there, just in case it takes a little bit more time. I probably held that down for a lot longer than I probably needed to, but you know, better safe than sorry. Hello, Tracy. How are you? Yeah, aren't those ArtFoamies fun? I just really get a kick out of them. I especially like these larger sizes of stamps because they are so easy to... They're really impression friendly, you know, because they contour completely to the surfaces that we're stamping them on. So I don't know. I really love trees because it allows me to go really big with them, where in some situations it just, with stamps, having like a rubber stamp version of something, it's almost like impractical to get that type of thing into production. I do have the Seaside Cove, you know, but I wasn't back in the days when all we had was you know, rubber to work with, pre clear stamps, you know, and everything else like that. So yeah, ArtFoamies for sure. But that being said, I sometimes think about doing the larger version of Seaside Cove in an ArtFoamy. It's going to have less detail, but just in terms of stamping ease, in terms of impression pressure, and whatever, stability. It's a good way to go with the ArtFoamies. They're just fun to use, aren't they? All right, so let's see. This swing, woman on a swing, lady on a swing, will go roughly right here. Trying to decide if I should stamp her right now or if I should do the overhanging limb first. I guess it really doesn't matter. But let me get my bearings here. I do want her to get her kind of reflected in this lower section. And the higher you stamp your figures, it just doesn't show in this reflected area as much, so you can see it go down in that lower section right there. I think something like this. You don't want her like 4 feet off the ground or something like that, but maybe something like that would be good right there, because I could see it right here in this lower section. Yeah, the Seaside Cove on wood. It always reminded me of one of those these, I don't know what they were. I guess a paddle or something like that, like in a sorority or something like that, or not sorority, fraternity. Those paddle things that they make for whatever reason. Yeah. Or like a cricket bat, if that's what they call those, the sport. I remember someone got one of those Seaside Coves at a convention. And that was like her, I guess that was like her big, kind of wish, is to have that stamp eventually. And she got there and her friend bought it for her at our booth. And I remember her holding that stamp or something like that. I don't know. I asked her, I said, "So that was the one you wanted," or something like that, and she kind of held it like she was holding like this baby. She kind of like cuddled it in her arms. All right. I'm putting most of the pressure kind of on the lower section. I don't want to put too much pressure on the rope, the swing ropes up top there. And I kind of wiped them off just because I'm going to draw them in instead. And the reason for that is sometimes when I stamp them out, I just don't want the tops of the ropes to get like thicker from impression pressure. Like that. So it just kind of fades off like that. So I'll just draw it in, which we have to do anyways, unless, the swing is like, right on the, whatever the branch or whatever it's kind of affixed to or attached to, hanging from. All right. So let's see where this is right here. That? Yeah, she's right in the field of view. No problem. I'm going to put this lower area down here as well. But I'm curious. I was curious to see what these trees would look like with all that color showing through like that. We'll give a pretty decent silhouette to them though with some coloring. This piece right here shouldn't take too long to do. Okay, so there's all these different colors in here. I wanted to try some different tones in my leaf forms here. I thought that might be kind of interesting rather than just doing them solely in black. So we'll see what this looks like. We'll do some different colors. I thought I would do some reds and maybe some fall tones if my pens are still reasonably juicy here and if I can do that. So here's what I'm going to do though. I'm going to take hybrid ink and I'll color it with black only, then I'll go over it with some red like this. And I'm kind of scooping off some color like that, some of that black off of there. And then what I do is I go back in to those spots that I removed a little bit, and I add a little bit, a touch of it. So hopefully I can get this varied kind of watercolory looking impression. And what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to use some of my Crafters dried whatever, fake flowers, and those are going to be floating in some of that water down below. And I have those leaves in yellow, red, and green. So I thought, okay, let's put some of those leaf colors up top in here so that it makes sense to have, you know, some of them floating in the water in that same color scheme. I don't know if I'll do yellow though, just because I don't know if I don't see yellow, transparent yellow across this. I don't think it's gonna read as yellow. Okay, so let's do that thing again. Let's wipe off some of these areas. This red is pretty juicy, so I think that's why it transferred pretty good like that. Let me do this too. I'll try it in a little red and green. This green's pretty dry though. Let's go about like this. All right, I don't see any green at all, but a little bit of red. Okay. I think putting the green, this green is so dry, maybe that removes some of the ink, so it's a little bit lighter. Black. One of the things about these pre-printed papers is that I really don't have to do a lot of coloring on them because it's already provided in the paper itself, so it's all these little additional color additions are just kind of, they're almost like accent piece, you know, accents. Okay, let's go with one more. Let's go with all red here. Let's go really, attempt to go really bright. Okay. All right. Maybe it's just the brighter reds are just over here, and they're brighter because they're stamped over the brighter tone. I guess that yellow over here, so stamped in the darker one, it just comes out darker. There you go. Who would have thought? It totally makes sense. I guess, I don't know if I stamped this. I'm kind of curious to know what this would look like if I stamped it like a pigment ink, like a red pigment ink. I think this paper would be able to take it, accept it, but it might look a little bit lighter than that, which could be cool. Okay, so let's go with some additional black here. And the black should probably appear as though those leaves that are in black are a little bit closer to us visually. Okay, we have that. So closing it off pretty good towards the top, and let's see what that looks like that. This, of course, reflects a little bit more light up there, so this looks lighter when I pair it off with this piece of gold foil like so. Okay. Let me wait for that to dry a little bit. And while it's doing that, I'll add our grassy area down below. So that now I gave it a little bit of an angle like that, and it has a better flow like that rather than just going straight across like that, which would look okay too. But I just think it's just that little tweak here gives it a nice little bit of an extra little kind of a movement to the scene. All right, let's see. Let's grab a straight edge and extra fine permanent marker. Could be any type of, you could do this with anything though on this paper. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Like that. And the swing ropes like that. Did everyone here used to swing? Did you ever take a swing, where you wind it up and wind it up and wind it up, then you get in and it's like, spinning around like that? As I was just doing the rope in here, it made me think of that. Here we go, like so. Did I say hello to Linda? Hello, Linda. Hope you're well. All right, let's see. Let's do a little bit of foreground, water side. We're at 17 minutes in this live stream, and I feel like I've made so much progress. Having all that color already laid down, it makes for this process to go, makes for a pretty fast process. All right, let's take a look again. Get our bearings here. Look at that right there. Isn't that fun? This one had these kind of like, I don't know, like light beams or something like that in there, just inherent in the paper, so it kind of makes it extra cool. What's interesting about this background paper of Deanna's is used in this type of setting right here. I'm not really quite sure what time of day is depicted. Not that it matters, It's like could be any time, It's like it's the mystery of it all. Whatever someone sees in it, it's that time of day. All right, let me see here. I was about to use the colored pencil on here. Let me see if I can get a touch darker right over here, okay? Not over a large area. I don't want it like super dark, but let's see what I can do here. If it just goes, I'm going to see if it goes like a little bit faster here. Okay, here we go. Wipe some of it off, and we're going right side here, like this. And you kind of stay there a little bit, and then when it starts drying off on there, that's when I start moving it in. So it's like kind of the majority of the strokes there with it, and then it's really quite dry on here, and then that's when I'm starting to move inward. Now, of course, it's going to depend on how wet your pad is, and I probably am. I'm using just a really light texture, or touch, pressure, not texture, pressure. Let's go here again, like that. And it took care of that pretty fast. I want to retain some of that color in there because it's really, you know, cool having that color in there, but just sets a little bit of contrast up. And let's go with a left side application of shadow here, like that. Stay in the shadows a little bit longer, and then start bringing it into the light like that. So staying in the shadows like that too, it kind of, you know, removes a lot of the ink that's on your applicator. And then I'll come in here to establish the base shadow, the foundation shadow, like this. I'm kind of going over into this area kind of slowly too. And then sometimes when I think about it, sometimes I forget to do this, but kind of on the top sides of the trunks where it's in the canopy of leaves a little bit more, I create a little bit more of a shadow up top like that sometimes, if I think about it or remember to do it. Okay, a little bit more, right about like so, and then we'll go kind of heavier right at the base. Kind of really dark. I don't know if I meant to go that dark, but I think it looks okay. All right, so, you know, pretty strong shadow, and see how I'm keeping this. The shadow is kind of like a wedge going this way. Okay. I mean, you could make it dark right here, but I think it looks like the light is kind of coming through here now by doing more of this wedge right here. Now this trunk goes all the way down to the base here, so I just kind of filled it in, but maybe I'll add a little bit more tone right here just to make it look a little bit more kind of bottom heavy anchored, you know, into the grass. And sometimes having those darker areas right there helps to transition this top portion into that mirrored section a little bit easier. So let's do that right in here too. This is all kind of mono value right now. So let's just go in here just a little bit. I still like this light coming across here, so I don't want to make that too dark. So, you know, we're just talking about like a, well, let's see how far it goes there. It's like a 20%, 25% gray-ish tone right there or so. Put a little shadow at the base of the figure. I've taken care of that. This went pretty fast here, so and it's really pretty smooth. I think I saved myself a lot of time from doing it all with like a, you know, that black colored pencil. Let's see that right there, and that makes that area turn a little bit more. I never know what they used to talk about. You always hear that term being thrown around in art school, turning in space. At first, I didn't know what the hell are you talking about. You know, I'm thinking about turning, rotating, or something like that. But they just mean like it's, you know, it's you're changing the values of something so that it looks more rounded. You know, like my hand isn't just this outline. There's shadows here, so it looks like it's, you know, rounded in space, you know, in terms of distance. All right, go like that, right there. I don't know. I think I'd like to swing there. Let's see. There's not a lot to do here. I think we're ready for the foreground. We're going to put in some foreground here. Let me see. Can I do whatever I want here? I can. I just can't go. Let's see. Okay, there's, well, if I turn this card like that, I don't have very much real estate here. But like this is probably the viewing angle. Okay, so I'm gonna go like this right here, and there's the head right there. Okay, so right here, well, I'll work around this spot right here. I thought I can go up, I thought I could put this rock right here, but I want that figure. I want that figure in the clear down here as far as the reflection goes. So let's see, it's right here. I'll go really low right here then with this. We're gonna put a few impressions across here with the boulders with lichen stamp stays on, of course. I got the latest issue of Rubber Stamp Madness came today. All right, let's do this. Let's put this. I'll put this at an angle right here. I remember on AOL, America Online, it used to be this, like this race or something. Whatever, prestige or whatever. It was like, that's what it felt like. To be the first one to say that you received your latest Rubber Stamp Madness or something like that. But it was always like someone, I got mine, It's just pretty funny. And of course that was like the early days of kind of, whatever, social networking and things like that too, so it was pretty much one of those things where you can make an announcement of being the first to this, wide audience of, fellow enthusiasts. But that's when, they would do that, and everyone's kind of anticipating, okay, wait, well, where's mine? And I remember us on the West Coast, I think we were always the last people to get it. It would always be, like back east, first, or something like that. I don't know if it was Midwest or back east or something like that, but I think it worked its way from east to west or something like that. I don't know where they got their printing done, but Rubber Stamp Madness started in I thought it was Utica, New York or something like that. I forget where, but that might have been where they started. They had things printed up. All right, so that's the boulders with lichen. See right there how I did. Let me see. There it is, right there. So I angled this down this way so that it would stay well out of the way of that head there. So, but I want to put something else over here. And on this one, one of the things that I was going to do too was, I don't like to stamp on here with Brilliance ink. I used to all the time, but I have to spray seal the Brilliance ink impressions on here. Now this was on stays on, so I don't have to do that, but I want to do a word stamp in here because I love the look of word stamps in pigment ink stamped on the surface of this type of paper, because to me it looks like the word is floating Now, I'm not sure if I have room for the one that I had it planned here. It was the Reason and Faith quote, which where'd it go? Here we go. Let me see. I could put it down here too. See if I put it, I usually put it up here in the upper corner, but that might be right over the top of the figure though. Let me see. Yeah, that's gonna, I don't want to compete with the figure there, the reflection of the figure. This really should, it needs to go on the right side of the card. So I could put it right here. But yeah, it's right over the figure. I could put it down here. I might not be doing a word stamp in here. That's the way it goes. You know, the card kind of tells you, like I always say, where it wants to go, so it directs me. I want to try so many different things out on this type of paper now. I usually don't work with that much color unless it's like a holographic, printable holographic or something like that. So using all this color for me, I don't know, I guess it kind of it makes me think about using it, but it also kind of expands my horizons in some ways, when you're using kind of these surfaces that you wouldn't or haven't kind of achieved before. So it makes you kind of, I don't know, it opens the doors doing this stuff, so it kind of widens your kind of perspective on whatever certain stamp usage, I guess. It's like a stamp enlightenment. Isn't that what we're all looking for, though, Froggy Fresh? We're looking for stamp enlightenment, right? We're looking for stamp enlightenment in every piece that we're doing. Which would be good. Okay, I'm putting some extra rocks down here because I want to put some of those. I was going to put those leaves in a different video, but I don't know. I'm almost done here. And now I'm not doing that quote stamp in there. I'll have to do another one. I really love that. I have other quote stamps in here, but that one was a really good one for this purpose. I like putting those word stamps in here. And like I said, it looks like it's floating on the surface of the water when you do that. Okay, let's see here. Hello, Mama X. Yeah, Mama X, thanks for checking out the live stream here. I can't take credit for those colors in the background. That's it's one of the Deanna Tubb-Sedillo. It's a test background paper, so she printed them pretty big for me. But she has a bunch of packs of all kinds of different background papers. Now she achieved that through, I don't know what. I haven't asked her yet, since my last video, but I was going to ask her what she did these backgrounds in. We weren't sure if they were like oxides or something like that, or oxides and pastels. She works in pastels a lot too, but they look real kind of liquidy, here. So I don't know. Do oxides come in those colors though? It looks like some sort of water reactive type of thing. Oh, yeah. So we were thinking it could have been, we were pondering, it could have been watercolor paints too. It's a mystery to me, but it sure is fun using those, though. So the concept here I was mentioning earlier was that there's so many really cool colors in this background paper. So I imagined just contrasting it with some tall tree trunks like this, something that I can add a lot of tone to make it, hopefully make it look. I didn't want to cover up so much stuff though, you know. So, but you know, I had to, you know, put those trees in there. But I think it really kind of, it makes the area in here really even more powerful in some ways. So you got to sacrifice some to bring in this contrast against it. So it's contrasting against these hard, darker forms like that. It makes this area in here really pop out. And then we have this little reflected area down here. So it's like, okay, I lost some of my paper up here due to having to cover it up with imagery, you know. So this whole area, the parts that we've retained in terms of the original paper, they get reflected down here. So, you know, you're doubling up the remaining part that's showing in this area. So it's kind of cool, you know, to do this in this type of format here because, you know, you're doubling up on, you know, Deanna's work there. So, so the sacrifice doesn't, you know, bite as hard. Not that you know, this scene right here looks kind of cool too. You know what? I might do that quote stamp. That quote stamp would be pretty good up here, just stamped on a different piece of paper and then just kind of paste it over the top of that. Maybe that's what I'll do. Okay, so this is what this is looking like. Hopefully it looks like a little, kind of like a, you know, mini, you know, diorama type of thing, that type of thing like that. I want to see if I can make this look even more dimensional, and I'm going to bring in some dried flowers, or leaves, I should say, and we'll put them down in this area. You know, it's what I've done many times in the past, but I thought with this really colorful background like that, having some additional color down like that might be pretty cool. Yeah. When I got those, Linda, the bright colors like that, you know what I mean? To me, it's like color and intensity. Oh, kind of a culture shock. Not completely, you know. Like I said, we've used the holographics before, you know, which have all the colors in the rainbow. But, you know, aside from the metallics like that, it's really cool to get to play around with, you know, so many super colorful and intense colors in a background like this. You know, when I look at this type of thing, you know, my immediate probably kind of response is to just make that into some sort of nighttime sky, which this kind of is right now. But, you know, I was thinking, you know, we can do something like, you know, some kind of celestial thing, like it's in space, like it's a nebula or something like this. But I think it looks pretty good when it's just like, just grounded like this. I really love it, working with that. These extra little kind of textural forms in here are kind of interesting. I'm not quite sure how she got those. Oh, it's like a water bleaching thing I can see now when I look at it closely. But I'm kind of curious to know why it kind of formed like that little shape like that, like a little Y or something. But yeah, and how she got those kind of streaks in there. I don't know if it's like an oxide, then she put in like some light pastel work over the top of it. Who knows, you know? Okay, so here's some red leaves like that. Maybe I'll just work with the red. I don't know, is red gonna even show up down here though? Let me see. We'll give it a try. I mean, I just went with the red leaves up top because the green didn't even show up. Let's give it a shot and test it out. Hello, Janet. How are you? And a beaver. I found 11 by 16 black, 260, 46-pound cardstock. What the heck is that? That sounds like cardboard to me or something. 246 pound. I mean, have I seen that type of thickness before? I haven't seen it in pounds. I don't think. That is really thick. It sounds like, almost sounds like Bristol board to me or something like that. Like a one of those or those matte boards or something like that that are like black all the way through, you know? That's pretty cool though. Come in the same colors as the Distress inks. Okay. What? I thought I've seen some oxides that were like, you know, like super bright though, I thought. Did the Distress colors come in those colors? I'm not saying that they're not. I don't even know. I haven't seen like the full, like a chart of the Distress colors before. I know the early ones were kind of a little bit more not as bright, but I think they just kind of expanded it and went away from like having everything look kind of aged in that line of inks. Some backgrounds with oxygen that were bright. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Is it looking like that? You know, it look like it could be that? Okay. Okay, let's not put any more. That's going to dry on me. It's like I feel like I'm composing with the glue here. Okay, I can't see here. It's the beginning of the end. I cannot find the, there we go. The glue, I can't find the glue, whatever, channel. Okay, these leaves are kind of, yeah, they're kind of bowed on one side, so try to have the glue side on that side. That first one, I thought it was flat, but I was probably trying to glue like that on it. I think here, let's use these two like this. This might be a good leaf technique right here. These are just two scratch board knives like that. I'm just kind of spearing the leaf. I think I better use two different colors. I think that single color might be a little bit too monotonous. And there's different sizes of these little crafters leaves. I haven't bought that leaf punch. It's been sitting in my shopping cart for quite some time. But there's this little leaf punch, you know, so that you can punch out any color of leaf that you want, you know, provided you have some paper or something like that. But I think I would be like punching stuff out of things like magazines and things like that if there was some colors that I wanted. And just getting a big collection of leaves, you know. Okay, so I'm clustering all these leaves in this little corner here because they tend to kind of pile up around you know, those little currents in the water, or you know, little um, wind or something like that, to send everything into like one little area. So let's see, let's take a look here like that. Yeah, it's a little bit extreme probably with the number of them down there like that, but uh, if there's a process that's fun to do, like splatter painting or anything like that, I always just say, if it's really fun to do, um, just if you do, just go overboard and add it in there, or do whatever. Because these, like, cards should be just fun to do anyway. So it should be like the process should, you know, I guess it's a matter of degrees. You know, you don't want something to absolutely ruin something, you know, by going like 500% over, maybe, but you know, twice as much. I guess it depends what it is. Okay, there we go, like that. And let's put some more like right around in here. Sometimes I've been too conservative with some sorts of techniques before. Like I've never done the bluebell forest floor. Um, the way that I kind of imagine that we can, because I see some photographs of like bluebells on a florist floor, and it's just like a gigantic, super bright carpet. Um, or you know, I've been doing a lot of stuff with the larch trees over this last year. I don't know, whatever those larch tree sets came out. But I don't go bright as I could with those. Sometimes I see these photographs and it's like a crimson red. Okay, I added. I thought I added a lot more of these leaves than I thought I would. I take it these leaves are like punched out as something, right? I guess, yeah. I guess they would have to be. Well, I don't know if they have to be, or if, I don't know if these leaves are like real. Froggy Fresh, you know if these leaves like this are like real, because there's, if they're punched out of something that like, it's like here's a stem in here. There's like a couple stems in there. I don't know if it's like a real, some real plant that, you know, they're getting these leaves from. I assumed they were paper, but I don't know now. I asked Froggy Fresh because they do a lot of, you know, railroad, you know, set building. Suddenly these leaves don't like me. They're popping around everywhere. I'm touching it and it's like popping out that way. Or they're not like sticking to my it's like a jumping leaves now. Okay, let me see if I can grab some of these really small ones. Maybe I should use my gem picker instead for these. Well, here we go. I think I got some glue on the tip here, so it's kind of working for that. I'm trying to grab some of these little crumb pieces, and I'm putting them in this distant portion right here. Sorry, you can't see it. With all this reflection coming off of this, I can barely see it myself sometimes. It's like I get this light flashing in my face right here at this angle. These little leaves look like they look more floral than leaves, I guess. Some of them look like a little bird. It's like got this type of shape, and it has like this wing going across there like that. Looks like that. They're kind of curled up like that. Okay, let's take a look here and get the gist of it like so. That's pretty fun. I don't know. I don't know if it's too many leaves. But I think that's pretty fun on the surface like that. It looks more diorama-ish, I think, like that with those leaves in there. And I think those leaves in red look fine. My original thought was to do them in multicolored. But, like I said, the green didn't show up over here. It's just, I think it's too dark of a background. Unless I do it like maybe a brilliance green or something like that, a pigment green that would be light enough that you can layer it in here. I need to start experimenting with more colored pigment inks at some point in time, but anyway, there we go like that. Debating if I want that quote stamp up there, maybe not. Let me see something here. Here's just like a one-word stamp right here. You know, like something like that. I don't know if I'm putting peace there, but yeah, I mean, I think it looks okay, but that's really kind of, that's a strong visual pull to have something in white in here when nothing's in white right in here, as is. Come out with die sets to go with your stamps. It would be cool to make some things 3D. I've thought about that before, Froggy Fresh, but not too much though, to really totally investigate it. But I have thought about that in the past. Salvaged patina can be pretty bright, yeah. Leaf punch is awesome. I think I heard about that leaf punch from you guys, like, I don't know, like last year sometime. Linda, did you buy that leaf punch too? I don't know, someone else bought that leaf punch too. They could be from birch trees, yeah. Punched a handmade, heavily dyed paper. That's cool. So you can, the thing about those punches is that you can do them in any color. That's what I like about that. So if I had like I don't know, like a purple themed scenario or something like that, I'm not gonna find like purple miniature leaves. I don't think, maybe you would, but I can get anything like that just like on the spur of the moment. Let me do one more thing in here. So I was talking about how there isn't any white in here. Let me take, let's go with this color right here. It's a little bit of a beige. I'm going to put a little bit of highlighting down in here, just for a little bit of extra sparkle. And let's see if that reads at all. Some little bit of highlights in here, so this color looks like roughly like that one, so it kind of relates in here. So I'm putting a little bit of this on want that grassy slope. So it gives it a little bit of extra kind of sparkle right in here. You guys see that at all on your screens? So you had that little kind of touch like that little sparkly touch of you know, specular light, which is light that's brighter than white, so little reflective types of things. You see those little reflective specular light everywhere, you know, unless you're in like a completely dark area without any lighting at all. But yeah, specular light is, you know, like, you know, that little light like right there. See, that's brighter than this white right here. But you see it on everything. So like here on this tree right here, just kind of putting a little bit on this tree right here. I don't know if you can see that little lighting in there. So in this scenario right here, it's fairly subtle, but you can put that here and there. I'll even put it on a couple little blades of this grass right here. Not on all of it, but see that little light right there that it's picking up? Like that, okay? And then this will go in here. If anyone hasn't seen these cards before, I'm gonna put some spray adhesive on the back of this, and this is going to get butted up right in here like that. You kind of put it at an angle like that, and try not to touch it down because that spray adhesive is pretty aggressive. Or if you can use your, you know, tape rollers or whatever you use to glue down, and get this really kind of butted up really nicely like that. Or sometimes I open it up like this a little bit, and then I go like that because this has a little bit of an edge to it here too. So sometimes you get it in there like that, and I don't know, you close it up or something like that, and it's not, you get a little bit of space in between, okay? But then try to lay it down from here and then roll it up like that. Now you can see this is going to be, I'm going to have to trim off a little bit of off the top like that. But this is going to be the final result like that, so it makes for a nice kind of interesting opening for someone opening their card. I put the greeting here, something like that, happy birthday, whatever, wish you were here, thinking of you. Thinking of you would be a good one for this scene, I think. And then they open it up like that, and it's like a whole other world. That's the feeling I get when I think about opening up something like this. It's like one of those little, you ever see it like one of those little Easter eggs or something like that, where you look through this little hole and there's this like the whole little scenario in there. That's what the feeling I get from something like this. And then on the back side of your card is where you write your, you know, little greeting or whatever to whoever you're sending it to, you know, love, you know, your name or whatever. But yeah, that makes for a really fun piece like that. So this one right here, that being said, was a pretty quick scene thanks to Deanna's paper, pre-printed papers. And they're really fun to work with. You can do those papers yourself too, if you know how to do these backgrounds like that. I haven't done those before, but you know, you can do something like if you're making them yourself, you can. I would just do a whole bunch of them, where I do like a 8.5 by 11, cut it in half for, you know, having two of them or something like that. Or if you have some that you really like, you can copy them, you know, scan them or something like that, and print them out. You know, and try them on different types of surfaces maybe. You know, try it, print it out on your inkjet printer in, you know, matte, maybe, what else would be like, matte cardstock, semi-gloss cardstock or something like that. I don't know. Would you do it on watercolor paper? I don't know. but it seems like it opens up a lot of different possibilities here. All right. Thanks for checking out the card. The paper has real plant parts in it. Oh, wait, are you talking about that paper that you got, Froggy Fresh, there? That real thick one? Froggy Fresh bought 4 packs of those super thick cardstocks. That is amazing. What's the surface of that cardstock, Froggy Fresh? Is it like a... It's not going to be coated, right? I take it it's matte, or is it that thick? It seems like they'd have to make it like a hot press or something like that. Huh. All right. Well, Froggy Fresh, whatever you do with it, share on the Facebook group. Oh, like mulberry paper. Okay, got it. I haven't seen anything on that mulberry paper now that you mention it. God, it seems like I saw people working on that way back when. A fairly regular basis. I haven't heard that thought about mulberry paper in a long time. Might have to experiment with that type of thing too. All right, folks. Thanks again. Get out on a swing sometime. And have some fun. But short of that, you can stamp it out. You know, on that type of paper. We need to get Deanna. You know, I don't know. I think some of these papers, I think she submitted, but they didn't make it into the papers or something like that. But she wanted to see what I wanted to do, what I would do with them anyway. So only happy to oblige, because these things are so much fun to work with here, and I love these different papers. She sent me you know, a lot of other ones too. You know, look at this one right here, that watercolory type of look right there. When you look at that, you think of the Arctic or something like that, but I don't know, all kinds of possibilities with these, you know, for some cool background effects. But yeah, we got to see if we can get these from her or something like that. Maybe she could just, I told her maybe she could just print them out herself or something like that. All right, folks. Hope to see you on the next live. Thanks again.